Hi, I'm Paul Friedman, founder of the Marriage Foundation, and today's topic is how can a wife make her husband happy? So clearly, if you have searched this topic and you have found this topic to be of interest to you, then you're having some frustrations with your husband being cranky or turned off or looking elsewhere for different kinds of satisfaction, and you really want to take responsibility, you might say, for making your husband happy. And so for that, I have to tell you, good for you. You're on the right track. And the reason why you are, and there's so many women today who think, why should I do that? He should be making me happy, which is true. However, I want to give you a different perspective. I want you to give you the perspective of someone who is in a marriage and is not getting from your marriage what you should be getting, which is your joy, your happiness, and your contentment. And at the moment, you are thinking, well, yeah, because maybe I'm not making my husband happy, and so I need to, so he gives me those things. That's generally the thinking. And that thinking is incorrect. You see, we live in a cause and effect world, and we get from outer things, outer experiences, outer conditions, material happiness. But the happiness that we want in marriage is not material success or material gratification, although it comes into play. But we didn't get married for those, because we could get those in other ways. We got married for spiritual gratification. You see, love, particularly unconditional love, gives to us the highest form of gratification. That it's spiritual gratification defines it as limitless. It's part of spirit. Spirit has no boundaries. You can measure the universe, although we can't yet. People are trying in using light years as a ruler. But you can't measure spiritual love. It cannot be measured because, simply put, it is infinite, which our minds can't even wrap around. Our mind can't deal with infinite, but our heart can. We can feel it, so we know it's real. We can feel it, so we know it's more real than any kind of material gratification there is, bar none. And not by a little bit. If you happen to have children, most of you do if you're watching this video, then you understand what love is, but you don't quite. So I'm going to give you some context. When you're watching your children and they're asleep, let's just use that as an example, and you look down upon their cute little faces, even if they're adult children, your heart opens up. Now, they're not doing anything, right? They're not instigating anything. They're not saying, oh, Mom, I love you. They're just being. So what's going on is your heart is opening to them, and you're feeling this love flowing through you. Yeah, the love is flowing through you. Where does it come from? It's spiritual, comes from God. It's flowing through you, and you're acting as a channel. And as that, think of it as liquid love, and it's coming through you, through your heart, to your children. That liquid love, which is ever expansive. There's no limit to it. It could expand, 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 expand. And you'll experience that love towards your children. They're the catalyst. But you're experiencing it by giving it. In that case, when your children are asleep, it's unconscious. But if you love your children consciously, even when they're being mischievous, you'll still feel that love flowing through you. When they do something that's really precious, you'll also feel it, but it's coming through you to them. So why am I spending so much time explaining this? Is because this is the same principle that you need to live and experience in your marriage with your husband. And by doing so, and here's where it gets so cool. Before I get to that, I'm going to say the love that has the greatest impact upon you and will upon your husband is unconditional love. That's what you feel for your children, which is part of why I used it as an example. So when you give this unconditional love to your husband, when that love is flowing through you, he will be the recipient of this, and it will stimulate in him a response that makes him happy. Now, it gets much deeper than that. The reason why it makes him happy is a combination of things, but in this case, you're the external catalyst that reminds him of the love that he received from his mother. Unconditional love is where it's at. In fact, your husband, it's different for you, why you married him. Your husband, though, married you in order to relive that unconditional love, because it's a very protective, it's a very gratifying love, and he married you for that. They don't teach this stuff in school, so we don't know. We get married with the wrong ideas of what marriage is all about. So what I am asking you to consider doing is consciously, even you just do it for a day, so you could see what happens, so you could start to learn to trust it. Learn how to love your husband unconditionally. Put aside the fears, because there's plenty of them. And that's a whole nother topic of why that happens. It's not part of the spiritual you that happens. It's part of the animal body you that creates fear. The soul doesn't know fear. The soul is limitless love, peace, joy, bliss. So try to learn to love your husband unconditionally. Practice this on him, with him. And there's a second part to this. Eliminate those things that do otherwise. Don't complain to him about anything. Don't criticize him about anything. Now your mind is going, wait. What about? What if? Okay, I'm not going to get into all of that because it would be a 3-hour video. So pick up one of my books, either one. They're both the same pretty much. Now, if your marriage has gone so far off the rails as to why you're looking at this, it's like your last-ditch effort to reattract him because he's leaving you or has even already left you, you need to get the course that the Marriage Foundation offers. Don't even argue about that. That's necessary, and it's not necessary for most marriages. But if your marriage is so far off the rails that your husband's out of here, you have to get the course because it will recover your marriage. Otherwise, one of the books will be plenty. But even without that, still try this experiment. Do you remember what it is? For the next day, 2 days, 3 days, put aside all fear and love your husband unconditionally and express it in various ways. And do not allow anything to get in the way of that in terms of negative anything. Don't frown at him. Don't criticize him. Don't condemn him. Don't finish his sentences. This is why you need the book, because there's so much information in that. So that's it. It's a twofold thing. And I guarantee you it'll work. There's no way it will not work. This is a mechanical way of achieving spiritual success in your marriage. And I'm going to tell you something about marriage that they do not teach. And that is that marriage is the equivalent of the highest spiritual path, meaning you could achieve bliss through marriage when you know what you're doing. Don't settle for less. Marriage is so cool. Why should you settle for less? Okay, now that you got all this good stuff, I want you to do me a favor. I want you to hit the like button, because that means a lot. If you have any comments, put it in the comment box. I love discussing things with people. This is my passion, is marriage, and teaching people how to really get the most out of marriage. So their marriage is the happiest place of your life. So share this video with others too. Okay, that's it. Blessings to you. Blessings to your husband, and blessings to your family. Thank you.